Christmas next week, and Joe and I are just recovering from the flu. We had it at the same time all last week, and it was rough, wasn't it?
It was a rough thing to go through. It was hard on everybody.
But anyway, we just hadn't done anything but just lay around and barely eat anything. We didn't have any kind of appetite, but we are now getting our appetite back and feeling like getting up and doing some stuff. And I've been looking through my mom's old recipes and thinking about Christmas growing up and how my dad was the candy maker in the family, and he loved the old-fashioned candy at Christmas time. And so I found this recipe, and I'm not sure, I don't think it's my mother's handwriting, it may be my dad's handwriting, but it's maple cream candy. And it's on this old piece of paper. And I'm going to make a half recipe of this. And we don't need a lot of candy laying around, do we? I've got the butter melting in the pan. Let me check it.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, Joe's going to help me keep it straight since I'm having the recipe. Can it's 14 ounces, so I measured it 7 ounces of Eagle brand milk that I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put it back on warm on the stove. So while I am mixing this up over here on the stove, Joe can tell you what Christmas was like for him growing up and what kind of special things his mom made.
Well, I guess one of the biggest things that I had was Santa Claus was coming. Chocolate fudge generally was the primary one she made. And it took a 10-inch skillet and put it all together with the sugar, the different things that would
The chocolate.
the chocolate. It was all good.
Yeah, and I remember when you took her on that little drive around the mountain.
Yeah.
And that was a fun day. That's when Joe's mom was going downhill with her dementia. And she wanted to go see the old home place where she lived at over in Tacoma.
No, it was over on, it wasn't Tacoma.
What was it?
It was up on the mountain.
Anyway, it was over in the mountain in Southwest Virginia. And she kept the place all nice and neat and when they lived there. But now it's all grown up and it didn't look the same, as home never looks the same when you go back to see what it looks like. But it just upset her, something awful. And
Yeah.
so we left there and made a loop around the mountain to come back to where she lived then. And we went by a place where you said she used to come there and buy those stack cakes.
Right. That's where it was at.
So anyway, it was an interesting day, and I don't think Joe's ever laughed so hard at his mom the way she was carrying on.
Yeah, she would say the like of that, the like of that.
I can show you what it looks like now. It's pretty smooth. And so the next step, honey, is to do what?
Eat it.
No, read on the paper. After it says mix well, what do we do?
On this paper?
Mm-hmm. Mix well, then what it says.
Mix well. Mix well, period. Cool in refrigerator. 4 hours.
Okay, the maple cream has been refrigerated for 4 hours. And I'm going to take this little teaspoon and get it out. I've got gloves on, and I'm going to try to form it into these little balls. It's really stiff and cold. It looks like a good sized ball. So I will continue rolling these out, and then we will put them in the refrigerator overnight, and tomorrow we will dip them in some butterscotch, melted butterscotch, and some melted chocolate. I need to just taste that cream, maple cream. You want to taste it? That's good. I'll keep shaping these balls, refrigerate them overnight, and tomorrow we'll come back and dip them. Maple nut goodies, this is as close as you're going to get. And if I make them again next year, because we can't have these very often, I think I'll crush up some peanuts, roasted peanuts, and put in them, and that would make them closer to the maple nut candy. And that was my favorite candy. My dad and I shared the love of maple nut goodies. And we would go downtown Kingsport to JCPenney that had a candy counter, and you could smell the maple because they had that candy under the lights in the candy counter. And Dad would buy a bag, and he and I would split it while we were waiting on Mom to shop. And it was so good. But now you can't find the maple nut goodies. Brock's made them, and the last time I bought a bag, they were so hard I thought I was going to break a tooth off, and I had to throw it away. Come to find out, they sold the candy company because of the regulations that the government had put on sugar and made it too expensive for them to continue making candy. So they sold the company to another company. They changed the recipe and had them made in Mexico. So no more Brock's maple nut goodies. But this is as close as you're going to get to it. So I hope you give the recipe a try.